Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Kaiju, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here once again with another review for you, and we're continuing on the Rampage goodness with the review, not of the modern movie stuff, but we're going to go back in time with figures from the original arcade game. Funko has gotten their hands on the license, and they have given us pop figures. Not normal ones, but a 3-pack 8-bit collector set exclusively at Walmart. Unfortunately, it only seems to be available through .com. So this set here includes George, Lizzie, and Ralph in pixelated format, and it's gonna run you about $30 or so with shipping and handling, $25 at MSRP. So with that price tag in mind, is this going to be worth it for Rampage and video game fans, or even Funko Pop collectors? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not this set is worth adding into your collection. Longtime viewers will know I usually don't cover the boxes in my reviews, but for this one, I absolutely have to. The reason being is that there are quite a few folks, when they collect Funko Pop figures, they are going to keep them mint and sealed box. So for that reason, I do want to cover the basis for them. But otherwise, I actually do think that the box really does add some value to this figure collection, because not only does it actually look nice, we do get a little bit more of a display value out of this if this is something that you wanted to swap out time and time again, whether or not you wanted to keep all 3 figures in the box on the shelf, or if you just wanted to swap them out and have them on the shelf individually outside of the box. So taking a 360 spin view of the box, we can see there is definitely a retro theme blended in with the standard Funko Pop vibe of a general box that you would have for anything else, like let's say a Godzilla or a Kong that would be available on the market today. So on the front of the box, we do have that nice window display that does wrap around to either side, and we do have the prototype images, or at least the mock-ups, on the bottom that features George, Lizzie, and Ralph. We do have the classic Rampage logo that features Midway Classic Arcade, and only at Walmart. Save money, live better. Yeah. We also at the top have George, Lizzie, and Ralph stylized in the pixelated lettering. On the back of the box, we once again have all of the same features as the front, but we do have a backdrop of burning buildings and the streets and the little park or whatever that's going to be. So that's nice to see there that we do have a nice style guide going here for the classic retro Rampage merchandise. On the top of the box, we actually do see the 3 monsters peeking up a little bit. We can only see their eyes, and they're saying pop 8-bit. Yeah, cool. On the bottom of the box, it's just the licensing information and the don't swallow for children that are not 0 to 3 years of age. Something that I found very, very interesting is that if you take a look at the distribution for Japan, Hot Toys. Yeah, that is definitely quite a leap for the range of collectibles here. Yeah. So anyway, one last thing that I want to mention about the box is that on the inside, there is a nice backdrop here. It's made of cardboard, and what it's going to be is actually 2 buildings on the side with a burning window, and we get that little park with a street on it. So this is going to be nice to put on your shelf if you wanted to use it as a backdrop, if you will, and if you wanted to have one of your kaiju figures, like let's say a Godzilla, and you wanted some scenery for it, hey, this should be an option for you if you wanted that. Now on to the actual figures, and we're going to go ahead and start with George. And I do have to say that generally speaking, the quality for all 3 are going to be the same except for Lizzie, and those with a keen eye will have already noticed I unfortunately had a quality control issue with Lizzie. But anyway, with George, we do have a very simplistic scheme here with a tannish color for the face and the hands. We do have the dark brown for the fur, and then we have that white coloration for the chest. Overall, George does look pretty nice, but we do have some flash marks here and there from when he was removed from the mold. But generally speaking, I do think that the pixelated quality of George was captured rather well. He does have sort of like a mushroom head going on, so I don't know if that's necessarily going to be everyone's favorite aspect of it. I do find George to be the weakest just because I don't really know if that translates over too well, but that is my own personal thought here. I think the teeth are kind of creepy, so that does add to the overall monster feeling of the character, which is nice. I think the eyes are great looking. Overall, I think they did a great job with George, even though he's going to share the majority of his body with Ralph. So when we take a look at Ralph in a little bit, you are going to notice a lot of similarities there. So overall, I do think George isn't necessarily the best of the three, but I do think he looks pretty solid. Now to Lizzie, and she is going to be the unique one of the bunch, not only because there are plenty of different sculpt marks on Lizzie compared to George and Ralph, as in the chest is going to be completely different, the legs look different, she has a tail and she has spikes, but mine is missing a left hand. Yep. So when you actually take a look at Lizzie, it looks like there is a blocky right hand, but on the left hand, unfortunately, it looks like it wasn't inserted. So yeah, unfortunately, I do get the short end of the stick here. But it is nice to see that they didn't just take a short, sweet, cheap out method here and reuse the same body 3 times in a row. They only really used it twice with minor alterations. Here it looks like there was only minimal reuse for parts for Lizzie, basically to just make a skeleton, if you will, and they built off of that. So Lizzie is the most unique character because, like I said before, we do have the spikes on the top of the head going all the way down the back, and we do have the tail along with some new parts for the chest and for the feet. Overall, because of that, I do believe Lizzie is the best of the bunch, quality control notwithstanding. So if you're a fan of Lizzie, this will be the shining star of the set. Also of note, I did reach out to Funko to see if we can get that taken care of, and they did say that they would be willing to help me out if I provided my order number. So let's hope they're going to be able to pull through and get me either a new Lizzie, or they're going to be able to send me that little part of a hand. Last but not least, we do have our buddy Ralph here, and Ralph is very comical. He does have that scowl on his face, kind of like the people's eyebrow. So if you have seen Rampage, he is carrying over some characteristics of Dwayne Johnson here. So as you're taking a closer look at the body of Ralph, you're definitely going to notice some parts reused from George, such as the main parts of the chest. The arms are basically going to be identical except for some parts around the hands. The legs are going to be the same. The back, very close. Obviously, the head is going to be different. So generally speaking, it's kind of like a not repaint from George, unless I'm missing something here. So yeah, unfortunately, not too much new here except for a new paint scheme, but that is kind of okay given the overall pixelated aspect of these figures. But generally speaking, I think that the main focal point of Ralph is different enough from the other figures to really differentiate him because, again, we do have that nice raised eyebrow. He looks a little confused there. We do have those tufts of fur on the top of his head, which are just pixels, again. And then we do have the ears, which do look really nice. Overall, I do think Ralph is great, a second behind Lizzie. And I do think fans of the character will be pleased with this 8-bit rendition of Ralph in the Funko Pop format. Now, there are no points of articulation on these guys, so don't worry about moving them around at all. To finish out the review, we're going to have ourselves a nice size comparison here, and as you can see, they are small. So if you were thinking that these would be anywhere close to the 6-inch format, you would be wrong, though they are able to fit into pretty much any spot on your shelf with relative ease. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Generally speaking, at about $25 or $30, depending on whether or not you have to get these shipped from Funko or Walmart, I don't necessarily think that they meet that price tag in terms of value. I think that there are a couple of issues with quality control that could have easily been avoided, such as sloppiness with the paint, some seams that are clearly visible, and clear flash marks where the figures were removed from the mold. I think that some folks will be saying that that's nitpicking, but then again, we're getting 3 small-ish figures for about $30. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if that is all right with the world, but at the end of the day, another thing to keep in mind is that these are going to be niche figures from a franchise that really doesn't have much life, and these body styles will probably never be used again. So with that in mind, if you are a Rampage fan and you are loving the classic source material, you love the video games such as myself, these are totally worth picking up. I am very satisfied with my purchase, and to be honest with you, If they decided to do the cast from Universal Tour in 8-bit format as well, I would go ahead and pick them up. If you are looking to get this for yourself or another Rampage fan in your life, you know what? Go ahead and drop the money because these are going to be awesome. In the same vein of the Arcade Classics Rampage cabinet that was really small, you could play like a Game Boy, or the Not Stretch Armstrong Rampage figures from Lennard. These are going to be awesome collectible figures 5, 10, 15 years down the line, so this definitely hits the nostalgia bone really hard. Go ahead and get them today. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description too to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links like the credits for this video and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.